As a courtesy of the
Since
rest
this,
of the
this will be the first meeting, we do have a quorum, so we'll just start with, roll call, you all sign it, so we don't need to, we're only missing, memo, because we still have 2 more vacancies, council needs to appoint those 2. So, since we don't have a officially, this is the first meeting, and we'll, if the committee decide to select the chairman and the vice chairman, or you wanna wait for the next, so that we have the whole, committee. So I just go ahead and I'll just start the meeting and then,
Shut the book.
I think we started doing a couple polls already. So do we have somebody for the forum for public comment?
yes, we do have some gentlemen here, they wanna address the committee, I don't know what, if you wanna say something.
Yes,
This is
my
the-
name is Howard Ivy, and I was asked by Horacio, city manager, to be here today. I've had some meetings with him, instructed by the council member to meet with the, I guess it was the city manager, and some of, Mr. Mia was there, and we had 3 meetings. One of the meetings, one of the things that concerned me was, I've been told by the county judge that, I went in to see him about our water project that's been frozen, and that there were some other, avenues that we might go, that might go around Laredo to a different area with our water. One was to come here, and one of the routes was to, go through Alice and down, because we had some people down in the valley that also had requested water from us before. Just wasn't enough volume to make it all the way down there. And he goes, well, what can I do for you? And I said, well, I'm just wondering, if I come here, of course, I'll be coming by, and there were colonias, and then I might get drop water, off of there for the county. And, and even if I went the Alice route, which is Route B, I still could through the county. I just want to know, if I do come through the county, do you want my people to come and talk to your people? And so he put his fingers down on the table and had this paper. He slid it to me and flipped it around. And I looked down at it, and it said Judge Luna. I said, Judge Luna from Crystal City? And he goes, yeah. I said, and what? He says, well, Alberto Torres is on his way over here right now. I talked to him about a water project that they had going. And I said, oh, and then his office has glass, and I looked out, and there was Torres out there. And so, okay, well, thanks a lot. If something happens, I'll come and get my people to talk to your people. And so I went out and said hello to Albert, shook his hand, and left. And then at these meetings that I was mentioning, we had 3 meetings, and Mr. Mia was there at all the meetings. And I know Horacio, when our project got frozen long ago, he asked the council not to freeze. He wanted to go forward and finish 40. Wait, let me finish.
Yeah.
Finish 40. It's going to take them 40 or 60 days to finish the offer, and he suggested that they wait and see what are results. And then I had explained to him my concerns about, hey, what's this, about some other water project or something I hear. And so Horacio asked Mr. Mia. No fault to Mr. Mia. He's a nice guy. I visited with him. But Horacio was in the dark and didn't know. So he asked Mr. Mia, hey, do you know what Howard's talking about? What? And he said, yes, I had met with Judge Luna. And so, that's what I know for now. And so I suspected that my project would be dropped or derailed, so to speak. And when I saw this water issue committee being done, this last meeting, they said that my project had been my project was no more. And then the mayor saying, haven't the letter been sent? And then the city secretary said, yes, the letter's been sent to Mr. Ivy and his attorney. And I said, no, it hasn't. And so I double checked with my attorney. He said, well, your attorney? I go, no, it hasn't. But I double checked with my attorney, and I got an email from them, and I sent it back to the city yesterday. We haven't received any such notice. And we were in the last meeting, it was the 17th, December 17th, right before Christmas, and they had asked me to bring my finance people back because we're offering no risk finance. In other words, if there's some kind of lawsuit or a dinosaur going along the way or right of way stuff, our water's so verified. It's 200,000 acre feet of water, 0% arsenic, 264 parts per million out of sand aquifer, very clean water. And the landowners are offering access to take our public use, locking their price at 46 cents per thousand gallons for 20 years to help service the debt. Now, our cost was at $227. After the debt is paid, it drops down to $150. It's phenomenal. You know, my motivation was I saw a pipe technology that I wanted to do, and I wanted to put a pipe plant here, and it saves on the freight on hauling the pipe for the 48-inch pipe and larger, some of them. And you can only get 2 or 3, you know, maybe 1 or 2 pipes on a trailer. So if you're buying this pipe from somewhere, it's going to cost a lot. So, you know, without going into more, that's about it.
Some of this committee member really doesn't know the history.
Well, that's what we're trying to tell them.
No, you are here for public comment, so you just
It's 3
introduce
minutes.
yourself. Yes.
I said I was finished, didn't I?
Yes.
That's about all I had to
So
say.
we just have
And I'll be passing out a book to the committee members on my project here. You know, that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Okay. Mr. Saunders?
Yes, my name is Stephen Sanders, and I am president of Acaro Southwest, and we're a high-volume water company. We develop water for municipal and commercial use. We have a large volume water well in Clarence County that we produce about 4,000 gallons a minute just for fracking and drilling purposes. Our science goes in and looks for waters in unconventional areas where they say there is no good water, and we go in and find that water. And so I've got a card for everyone after the meeting to look at, and I'd love to visit with you about it. We found some water closer to Laredo, and we're interested in developing that, and we'd like to have more discussion about that.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else in the public comment? If not, then just go ahead and go to the discussion and possible action in reference to the secondary water source for the city of Laredo. I'll just give a quick update, and this is for the committee. City did have a secondary water source RFQ in 2004, and city did work on something, and in 2007 or 2008, it was presented to council at that time, and I was not here. I'm just telling you what I know and what's in the paper.
Mayor, if I may?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to give a little history because it seems history, past and present, is being rewritten. I was chairman of the Water Adhoc Committee. We had developed the project. We had done an extensive source study about it. And Mr. Ivey, have I ever met you before?
Yeah, there was a presentation that we gave at the hotel here. I believe you came to, and I might have met you there.
I don't remember ever dealing with you before.
Yeah, but by the time
So
I
for
came,
you to
you
be
weren't
able-
on the council meeting.
That is correct.
All
I was
right.
no longer on the council, but
That's right.
you made a lot of comments about me that aren't true, so I wanted to make sure.
I don't know what concert I know.
They're on Facebook and we have pictures. So anyway, going back to the thing, the city at that time was very aggressive in developing a secondary source of water. We were dealing with, I think it was called Grass Valley. Ray Smith, do you know Mr. Smith? Ray Smith?
He
Was he
was,
part of
he
your-
was a competitor.
Okay, competitor. That was the one who brought the poly pipe system in, was gonna bring the plant here. We were talking about a 48-inch line, a take-or-pay contract. They had the financing. Everything was set to go. Of course, I was termed out, moved out on that. The Salinas, Carlos Vidal team took over, immediately canceled all the secondary source of water and invested in the People Water Plant.
I beat there.
You are right.
Yeah, and so, but at that time, imagine had we done the secondary source of water, we would have had extra clean water, we wouldn't have had Pico Water Plant, and we would have been serving all the fracking needs along 83, and probably Botinas would be, 4 times the size it is now, and we would have development throughout the county and throughout along the 83 corridor. Now, going back to our conversation we had last time, you all went and invested, and again, nobody here,
Alright.
we invested whatever hundreds of, millions of dollars in the Pico water plant, overpriced, overbuilt, but,
Non-functional.
non-functional,
It's
well,
not
I mean, whether it is or isn't,
So not a capacity.
whether it is or isn't, we're in a bind here, so if you do a take or pay, all you're gonna do is reduce your production at Pico.
Yeah.
So what do we do? And I said, and I asked you last time, what is the direction of council? Do they want us to explore a secondary source? I'm all for it. Contrary to what other people are
and to
saying.
answer your
And
question-
about killing anybody else's project, I have no deal anywhere. Mr. Ivy, I don't know you, I don't know anything about your project. I thought maybe you were with the Grass Valley, I don't know.
I'm different utility. We're the ones that, we're gonna bring the plan in and all that from the.
Okay, but I do not know you.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
I
So
didn't,
for you
I
to
didn't hear you say
disparage me,
anything. I didn't hear you
That
say
was
somebody
me,
was
John.
reported to me.
No, you were commenting with him, and then at the last comment you made, you said, I and Mr. Torres were working against you. Mr. Torres hasn't said a word. He appointed me to this
I
committee.
didn't say you were working against me. I said I heard some disparaging comments that you made to the guy that does the shell ceremonies, Joy De Leon. He made a comment or something that you said is right after you were appointed. That's all I know. That's all I can say.
No, Mr. De Leon was also mad about my appointment.
Okay, but
But Mr.
all I can say is that's
Mr.
all my comment
Gallo,
was.
let's
I don't mean to
But
disparage you in any way.
I just wanted to clear the air
Yeah.
and say, I have been one of the ones that was pushing for the secondary source of water. Thought the Dimmitt, Maverick County area, there was wells that are doing 5,000 gallons per minute, hyper clean water, as long as you're not in the water district or it's restricted, you're not over Edwards. But again, now, how do we get it done?
And
Not to the
let me
detriment.
give
I still
you
have
a
everything
quick,
needed to do it.
let me give you a quick update. Yes, you're right, that 2009, 2007, council was presented with 4 different options, and at that time, they decided to go with the El Pico plan. And so, but that was done, El Pico is done now, we have the plan,
How much do we owe still on Pico? Like 50 something million?
no, more than that.
Okay, see, so we're on the hook for that.
Yeah,
We have to sell that water.
So you have, El
yeah,
Pico
so-
is built for 120 million gallon ultimate capacity. At this moment, it's 20 million gallon capacity. It's producing 20 million, close to it. Do we have some hiccups? Yes, we do. But the plant is working. It's not working as we want, but it's working. It's producing all of you in North
Did you
America.
shut down Jefferson?
No, we cut down the production.
Yeah, and he moved to Pico, right?
Yeah. So see,
So
that's,
who was there to review the Pico water plant design to say, we don't have this much production?
Those are the things was done. We can discuss. And I don't.
Well, I mean,
wanna-
y'all are exploring suing, right?
Yeah,
that was done
we
by
are. That's
another
why I
body,
don't want to talk too
corporation.
much about El Pico. There is a lawsuit pending on that issue, but when the secondary water source committee was very active, we also had Jefferson was the old plant. It can only produce 55 million gallons, and at that time I remember we were producing close to 48 million gallons.
Right. Don't
So
disagree.
that, yeah,
But we
and
were-
so that kicks in all this issue. We need to have more water.
Yeah,
Now
but at that
Jefferson
point-
is a brand new plant. It was
But-
upgraded.
At that point, again, we can rehash history all we want.
Yes.
Along with
We
the-
were there, we had a 48 to 60 inch line paid for, it was take or pay. I don't remember, it was starting out at 1 million, if I remember right, it was like 1 million gallons a day, and it was escalating to a certain point.
Oh, yeah, that was you. Okay.
So,
I started at 10.
But that's a good
went to a
deal.
year to 40.
So, look, for my clarity, okay? So if we have a plant that's supposed to be able to produce 120 million gallons, and only producing 20 million, how are we gonna sell to the city and its
no, it
constituents?
cost 120 million.
Yeah,
It'll
it's
produce
a 100. Its ultimate capacity is 120, but
Okay.
the
No,
first
it's-
phase was built for 20 million.
For 20
gallons.
million, okay.
We producing 20, close to 20 million. We have a Jefferson plant which was completely brand new
Right.
in 2011 thanks to Obama because city got the fully funded that plant. Not a single penny from the ratepayers. So that plant can produce 65 million gallons.
But why did you do that?
Hmm?
Why did you do that if you have excess production? Just to use the money.
It was there.
Well,
Because
see,
at that time, yes, if,
But that's
once
not
we do the
secondary water.
Jefferson, we should not have gone in El Pico, but that's.
But once
that's-
you get El Pico, why didn't you go back and do Jefferson?
No, Jefferson was done first. El Pico did not came in construction in
So then why'd you do? Oh, well,
I
you
think,
don't make that, that's above your pay grade.
I think
Well,
though,
that was
no, no.
part of the
but
shenanigans,
I think,
man.
wait a minute, I think we're getting completely
Yeah,
off
yeah,
track.
no, that's
not the
I
issue.
mean,
That's
I
not
think
the
the
issue.
purpose of this committee is we're gonna go ahead on a fact-finding mission
Yeah.
and look at the secondary water source, not to judge or
Right,
critique
no, no,
what
and that-
past
yeah.
administrations have and haven't
Yeah.
done, you know.
And that's why
And that's what I was.
But it ties our hands. The
Well,
history
look,
ties
we're
our
not,
hands
we're
to
not
it.
gonna
No.
be, we're not a governing body, we're a fact-finding mission to go look
Yeah.
at secondary water sources, and that's it. You know, we're not gonna go enter into contracts or anything, we're gonna look
I agree
at
with
secondary
you.
water sources, look at everything that's at table. We might come back with a suggestion, we might not.
I don't
you know?
disagree with you.
You know,
I
that's
don't
all,
disagree with
that's
you.
all we're gonna do.
But see, the Pico Waters plant was promoted to the citizens as a secondary plant, right? The secondary water.
No,
It's
it
not
was
a
never
secondary water.
I understand
A
that.
secondary water
That's
source,
not secondary.
our only water sources that
Two
are
straws
out
in
the
a
river.
glass don't make it second, you don't have two drinks,
It
right?
was never promoted
Right,
as a
that,
secondary.
So
that's
I-
what, we're looking at an other source of water.
You'll say.
Because if the river is contaminated tomorrow,
I-
what are we gonna do?
Yeah,
And that's,
where
that's,
did it have
that's,
gas cross?
right, that's, we're gonna look at,
Both
you know,
of them.
what
Both of them.
is, you know, that's the whole purpose of
I
this. It's a
understand.
fact finding to go look at, you know, not to fix.
But in
it.
certain ways, you're tied.
But
Well,
this
it's a
is,
fact
let me
finding
give
mission.
you the,
We're not a
the
legislative
current
body.
situation. Now we
Okay.
have 85 million gallon capacity. This summer, we are producing, the peak production is about 52. So we do have excess capacity. We have almost 63,000.
As long as you have water.
As long as we.
63,000 acre feet of water.
As long as you have water to pump.
Yes, those are the things we can talk about it, when we're gonna have water or not, those are out of our control. We
Right.
can just speculate, but I can tell you, at this moment, we do have a rate consultant, I did told him to put in some numbers, and we will present it to council during budget time, to do, everybody wants a secondary water source.
But you've already done the numbers.
Hmm?
You've already done the numbers.
Yes, but this
already
is
spent the money.
but to do another secondary water source, we gotta increase the rate significantly.
I thought it was 5%, well, that's a little bit.
Come on, you just tagged on another buck something, you know? I mean, and all the fees goes into the main fund, you know, you're not divvying it up, you know? I don't think
How
that's.
do you know you're not giving it up? You need to, look, the $1 is going to buy water rights.
Well,
So,
but how can you buy water rights when it's dry?
where is dry? You still have water, we still flowing.
Okay, Rio Grande, it's a fact today, is drying up between New Mexico and Colorado, okay? I don't know if you know that.
Yes, I know
Okay, and most of our water comes from where? The Mexican
Mexico.
side, right?
Yes.
No water either. Just saying.
But the lakes in Mexico are at capacity right now, they're at three quarters to full.
Not up here.
Mia, what do they want us to do? And that was my question to you last time. What do they want us to do? Because if you ask me, if you want a secondary source of water, that Dimon area is by far the easiest, fastest way to do it.
Yes.
I'm not saying Mr. Ivey's deal is the best. I don't know anything about it. I'm
There
just saying,
is-
we've already done that study.
Yeah.
There's bed and banks, and I believe you're proposing bed and banks is a supplement, but I don't know if you're getting, it doesn't help you if you got a polluted river,
I
but you're just
think-
polluting good water.
And I don't know really what council wants you guys to do, but I think at the end of the day, your recommendation will be, yes, we should look at secondary water source, so we can go out for, at this moment, there is no request for proposal, there is nothing. What Mr. Ivy is saying frozen, for me, I looked at it, it was canceled. Council, when make a decision, that means it's canceled.
Yeah, they-
So at
they
this
make
moment, there is
decisions
nothing frozen.
Well,
And
that's
so
kind of
if
hard
we-
for us to.
I think we start off backwards. I mean,
Yeah.
I think initially
Yeah.
we should have discussed what the goals of this
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
committee are, as opposed to.
We're not here to
looking
solve
at
past issues,
specific,
but
Yes.
what are we
water projects. Is it may be a
I
combination
think the
of
goal will
projects
be,
that might need to be
once
done.
you guys discuss, recommendation to city council, yes, we need a secondary water source, so city should look at a request for proposal, whatever the cost, and as I said, we have rate consultant.
So which studies are we gonna be able to use as a committee that the city's gonna provide for us to make choices? Who's gonna provide all those studies?
Do we have that responsibility to choose one or the other, or what? No, right?
At
So
this moment,
our-
there
our
is no proposal.
responsibility is to take back to the city council, do
Yes.
we as a
But
committee feel
what he's
that we need a
asking
secondary
you,
water?
do we go out and solicit proposals and then analyze the proposals and come back and say, here is a reasonable proposal that you're gonna do, your rate study, you're gonna, to do a rate study. I think, for what,
Yes.
Horacio told me he already did one, and he
Yeah.
was surprised that it was only 5% increase.
Yeah.
So, again,
For solid water, that'll never go dry. And they could shut off both plants. And we'd have clean water.
Why, okay, why would we shut off both plants?
Well, because they cost.
You need to watch,
Oh.
it's recording, you need to watch your language.
Okay, okay. Look, we have needlessly scattered millions of dollars for a second plant.
But we're not gonna
I think
resolve
we're
the
getting
issue.
off track again.
I know, but it's good. If we don't study history, it's gonna repeat itself. And we can't do that. We need to make a decision. And we need to be united.
How can you make a decision? You start with accusing people.
I'm not accusing them.
You
Okay,
started
look,
with that.
look.
We just need to
Time
put
out,
everything on the
time out,
table.
time out,
If
time out,
everybody
time
stays
out.
quiet, then
Time
nobody
out.
knows where nobody's
No,
at.
you
I don't
know I'm
think
not gonna
anybody's
stay quiet. Time out.
Yeah, I
This is our responsibility.
And I respect that.
I came to Laredo in 1983. And I used to go to the Cthulhu barbecue pit, and after they built it on McPherson, there was a man there that every day he would talk about the secondary water source or the third lake that's supposed to be built on the Rio Grande to provide water, etc. And at that time, Laredo was probably 45, 50,000, 60,000, a sleepy little hollow, really. But it's no longer that. We have, in my estimation, probably over 300,000 inhabitants in Laredo. Maybe they all don't report. But my concern is the river, yes, drying up someday. And if you look at all the weather patterns and everything else, to the west of us, there's very little water coming. And look at what happened right now on the coast. For the past 5-6 days, we've had a storm over there, and we all keep getting our hands and knees hoping it comes this way, and we get a little drizzle, and that's it. So there's something going on with Mother Earth, believe me, all right? So, I don't use the phrase, somebody else that doesn't like to use that phrase, but what we need to do, realize right now, this town has been earmarked in a position to be 1 million plus. But we can't do that if we don't have a secondary water source, because my biggest fear is the hazmat bridge brilliantly was put upstream of the city, that the water comes to provide our nourishment. One truck, an accident, maybe terrorism, sabotage, or whatever it is, explodes on that bridge, and there's not enough bottled water to take care of all of us, all right? So, to me, the secondary water source committee, that's why I volunteered to be on it. Shouldn't be about whether somebody did something right 10, 15, 5 years, 3 years ago, whatever. It's in the past. It's in the past. We can't fix it. We can maintain it. That's all we can do. But the secondary water source is not only for that, it's for the growth of this community and the county and those people in route and everything else. South Texas has always been, how should I say, tamped down because we don't have enough good water. Go to any ranch. I'm in real estate. How's the water? No, it smells a little bad, tastes a little bad, a little salty. If you want good water, go 5,000 feet down. That's a $200,000 well for a house. It's not viable. All right. So this is what to me, that's why I'm here. To tell the city, do it. Now, we gotta convince somebody on what the cost is gonna be, whether we wanna take it or not.
But that is the goal of this committee,
Right.
to
So
come
I'm
up with
in favor of secondary water
recommendations,
source.
say,
Let's take a
we
shot.
do need
You know, I
it,
mean,
now
let's
let's look at the cost, and that's the
Right.
cost, the citizen wants to pay for it, that's
Well,
good.
if you paint them that they're gonna be drinking water with arsenic like Bruni and Alton and Miranda have been doing for all their lives, or if you paint them they're gonna be drinking some kind of chemical like Michigan did, you know, do we want our kids to be poisoned
do have
because that's the only
arsenic
water
in
we
our
have?
All right,
No.
let me add
Right.
something. I mean, everybody's been
Yeah, we're all over the place.
all over the place.
Yeah.
So my understanding of this group is to come up with recommendations. And everybody keeps talking about a single secondary water source. I've heard a pipeline. That's all I've been hearing. But when you look at other municipalities, they're not looking at one option only. They're looking at several different options.
Yeah.
You know, reuse,
Desalination.
desalination.
Yeah.
So I think as part of this committee, we need to weigh all the options, not get caught up on one single source, or, you know, and go from there. When we start going backwards and talking about Albico and all that,
Yeah.
you know, talk to these guys offline and figure out what, you know, is there even enough revenue to maintain O&M for the existing system? How, you know, what are we gonna have to do if we bring in water from another source? What are the costs associated with that? So I think if we're all caught up with blinders on looking at one single solution, I think we're all going in the wrong direction. Because we need to keep all options open, and I think that was the
Well,
intention of this group.
Let's start off this way, if I may. I move to appoint Onyx chairman.
That's the loudest voice for what?
Yeah. Well, the voice of reason. Do we have a second?
Okay,
Yes, okay, I second the motion.
Discussion?
for what?
For Mr. Benavides as chairman.
Onyx to be chairman and lead the pack, okay?
Any discussion? Any other nominations? No, let's call for the question. Anybody opposed? Motion carries by unanimous consent. Congratulations. Or, God bless you. All right.
Mr. Benavides,
It's all
you
yours
can
now.
run the meeting.
I will run it, I guarantee you. Now, I need a motion for vice chair.
Okay, Mr.
Valdez.
You want me to vote for one?
Yes, please.
I think you heard from you.
I second.
Okay, I'd like to talk about secondary water
And
resources.
let's get done with this one here, and then we'll continue.
Oh, ya se acabó.
No. Now we're taking over the meeting.
We're
Now,
adopting
Get the
all
city
this.
guys
it's
out.
not, it has to do,
So there's
Okay.
nominated.
There's a nomination on the floor.
Yeah.
The secretary,
Mr.
Second.
And the second to be appointed vice chair for the Adhoc Water Committee. Call for the question, any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now, let me go from real quick. I appreciate the opportunity to lead the group. I think that it's very well needed. And I do agree with all the comments that have been said about plans and everything else. I think we need to not look behind us, because we go back, we can't correct what's happened already. It's water under the bridge, and that's the plan. But what I'd like for us to do right now is really, as a committee, make a motion that we do need a secondary water source, and if we don't, then we'll go home. It's as simple as that. I hear a motion from the floor that we
I
do need a
move
secondary.
that we continue exploring the secondary source of water.
I second.
There's a motion on the floor that we continue exploring the secondary water source. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passed. Motion passed. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
now we're in agreement that we do need a secondary water source. And from now forward, let's start discussing on what we're gonna take to the city council, and to make them understand that, you know, the cost behind it. Are there federal grants? Are there ways that we can defer some of this cost to get it? I know there's been some comments from the public here that they do have the means to do it for us and everything else. I think that's down the road when we sit down and figure that out completely. But right now, what is the best way to do it, in our opinion? You know, is it
Mr.
piping it
Chair?
from Carrizo, piping it from outside of Laredo and so forth?
Mr. Chairman, if
Yes.
I may, maybe the next meeting, let me present the status of utilities, the money, the biggest issue. And I'll talk to city manager, we did some rate study, maybe we can present a draft to the committee, so this is what you can look at it. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, it's all about money.
That's it.
And
Well, why don't we? I think we need to explore the options first. And then present them and let them do a rate study to try to accommodate that option.
Yes.
But I think what we need from staff is to know, is there any legislation ongoing? The Water Development Board, are they working on anything as far as desal? Because ultimately, desal is the solution. It's not gonna be pumping, millions of gallons from Dimmitt County fresh water.
It's one solution. but
Everybody's gonna be after it, but-
Exceedingly expensive.
I
But,
know
okay,
regional-
we know it's more expensive, but I'm just saying, desal is gonna be the solution for the state, and that's you're gonna solve. And if they do it in multiple cities, the state can do billion-dollar projects, we can't.
Okay. Before my friend here blows the fuse, you have a quote.
Okay, my deal on secondary water resource is actually in water conservation.
One.
And I don't know, but I believe that millions of gallons or thousands, whatever, are wasted on irrigation. They say that you lose 50%, right? And so all the irrigation, the overhead, they do that. That's a lot of gallons of water. I have developed an underground water system that eliminates that completely. Take a look at that. I have this experiment. Been working on this for 4 years. And it's underground watering system. And all it does is spread the water on the ground, evaporates, rises, and wets the ground. And you notice that the grass at the last picture, you can blow it up by punching it. And that area, I never watered overhead. And so I have another one where I laid out a pipe, 10-inch pipe, in an area like a 12 feet wide by about 12 feet, 15 feet. And I put a pipe underground. And so I fill it up, and it only takes about 10 gallons. And so I water this area with that, the next to it, with water with overhead. And I measured a tiny, it takes 1 minute to fill up 10 gallons. It took me 2 minutes to spray the other. So right off the bat, we know that there's a lot of waste there, besides the property, the overrun and everything. So little by little, that had to be replaced, and that works about 100%. All the water you put in the tube, it's used.
If I could add to that, I'm not against water conservation whatsoever, so that's not what I'm saying is, but the more people conserve water,
That's a secondary one?
well, that's less revenue that the city's bringing in for O&M costs. On top of that, there's also issues that occur with the stormwater costs. The less water that's going through the storm systems, especially old systems, that has a negative impact because you're not seeing the same velocities down those pipes and pushing,
But look at this.
So
Yeah.
you have to weigh all these different options.
Exactly, look at this. If you got a sprinkler system right here, right, spending gallons, and you put this one and save 50%,
Yeah.
that's a water resource secondary, but you're not spending that water there. See what I mean? It's indirectly a secondary water resource.
Well, it's conservation.
It's
Conservation, yeah.
We've been under, I guess, conservation directive for as long as I can.
Believe me, if it works, I'll do it.
And so.
Well,
But there were
the
three.
bottom line is zero scape.
I wanna go down the-
Yeah, rainwater harvesting.
Then you go into the
Okay,
situation,
we're hooked.
then you go into the situation where you're having the homeowner foot the bill, because it's on his property, of X number of dollars that they may not have. They don't realize it would save them money in the long run, but to go out there and, it's just, it sounds fantastic. I think those of us that can afford it should do it. I have dripper hoses all over the place.
Cost for the thing is not as expensive of the other.
Yeah.
Remember, the other one's got water pressure underground, got mechanical parts.
But I think that would be earmarked to somebody who has a 20,000 square foot yard that has water sprinklers one day and night and uses a.
Oh, you can do this in farming too.
Well, no, I understand that, and I'm not saying it's not a good idea. I think, it's like, in some cities, they have, where they go replace the toilets and stuff like that with less using the water, and, so there's a lot of programs that we could enact to help that portion there.
The
And-
point
but
is
not
it's
necessarily-
saving water,
You
right?
can't force the people. to
That's
do
what
it.
we're doing.
Yeah, you can't force the people. So we're.
No, you're not forcing them.
No, yeah,
No.
If
This
you
is-
come to my house and you tell me, hey, you can't have water unless you put in this and.
No, I'm not telling you force it, I'm just saying that it's gonna be in the market.
But, okay.
It's up to you to buy it or not.
Well, but that's, if you're in that business, then you ought to be showing.
Yeah, now I'm resigning from this year.
Okay. But that, we're not here to improve your
No,
business, we're here to
but
improve.
still,
our
it's
water.
secondary water resource.
Well.
Look,
yes.
I'm outta here.
Yeah, no, okay, but I understand where you're coming from.
Well,
It's like.
I've got a
for
business to
sprinkler
run
systems,
here.
you can, I know people that run for an hour and a half when they were spigot, when you can do it for 15 minutes at 4 o'clock in the morning, and it does the same job. Because it doesn't evaporate at 4 o'clock in the morning, it does at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So there's a lot of things that we as a city could be talking to our constituents or our population on how to conserve. But you know, I mean, it's people's habits and attitudes that have to be adjusted. To me, that is probably the most difficult thing in the world to do, is to adjust the attitudes of 300,000 people. That's what it is. But the bottom line is, that's a good point. We'll recommend to the council that they start putting out ads, right? I mean, I'm not against it. It doesn't cost us anything to run an ad and tell people, hey, you can do this and you can do that, and then look to the source. But to me, the biggest thing we're hampered here with today is to decide which is gonna be the best route to take. And not today, but that's what we're gonna be, yeah, we've been given a responsibility. And I think we all agree on the same thing, we do need a secondary water source. Now, believe it, you said that, you know, we see cost, what's there, what kind of money, and then we look at all viable things. Desalination's been a thing that I've been hearing for the past 30 years, and I don't know if anybody really is doing it big time, maybe in a small type thing, you know?
In the coastal areas, there's a lot of coastal areas. They have a lot of studies on brackish water brought down to start desalination.
Yeah, we have plenty of brackish water here, right, so.
I mean, that's happening already, the coastals, all the coastal areas.
I think we've got a direction to go. I do agree that we need to get a little more direction from council to see exactly where they want us to go with this. We can beat this horse that has no hair left on it, and I think we pretty much did it today.
Well, we have, if I may.
Yes.
We have two members, I think, that, Mikey gave, Steve, right? He gave me a presentation last time, we didn't have a forum. And, Mr. Ivy here, I guess, we can keep it to a nutshell, very compact, give us an idea of what we're looking at. I've not read your proposal, not seen anything but what, you know, something I see in the
I have a
email.
book that I'll leave y'all.
But it's basically take or pay.
I have a book that I'll leave y'all, and it also has some suggestions, because in the meeting with Horacio, he asked me to come up with some ideals. And I see one of your problems as water sales, and you need more water sales. And so, I'm bringing in water, and you're supposed to buy water. Why am I talking about water sales? Well, when I got frozen, I went down to the valley, and there was, in 2010, there were cities that signed up for 27 million gallons of water back then. Okay, so that's one thing you keep in mind. It's in the book, but I won't go into that too much, because I won't be able to say what you really want to hear, which is what's our deal and how does it work. We have a three landowners that have got 42,000 acres of land. These are industrial farmers, okay? And we're the little one. We used to grow 25% of the nation is transplant onions at the same time, 10 to 8% of the nation's onions at the same time, 33% of the nation's cabbage. And I'm the little one, okay? So we're not using this water like we were. And in our area, we call it los tres pisos. The aquifer has 3 floors. First floor is up close to the root, and it comes down to the second floor. And the first floor doesn't have a ceiling. The second floor does have a ceiling, so it makes a pressure. Okay, so when you get to the end of our well field, that's where the third floor starts, and it goes down. And our aquifer is 650 feet to the ceiling. Big Wells, Texas, called Big Wells for a reason. When they drill down and get through that 650 feet, water would come out of the ground. Now it doesn't come out of the ground, but once you break through, now it didn't come out of the ground because the springs used to flow in Carrizo and the mosquitoes have taken over, and that's one of the. But in that area, your hired expert, which is the oldest hydrology firm in the state of Texas, R.W. Harding, Laredo hired. I hired the second oldest hydrology firm in the state of Texas. And they're the ones that did the hydrology model for the state of Texas. According to Rich Kaiser, you can pump 40 million gallons of water a day in that location from their pumping models that they did. And it'll affect the level, 40 million gallons of water a day for 50 years. And it'll affect the level of the aquifer less than 1%. How come? Because there's pressure there. And there's a long tail. And the tail comes from the direction of Uvalde, from the direction of Bracketville, from the direction of Eagle Pass, from the direction even from the south over here in Catarina, flows to this area. And what he said was you have to be in the right location. I'm my guy, your guy. When I go sell my project, I use videos of your experts. Okay, so the thing is that after it passes by that one spot, when it goes up the hill, the water gets hot and goes deep, and the ceiling's 1,800 feet. And after it goes by the Tula, the water goes brackish. So right here at this spot at 76 degrees, arsenic free, 264 parts per million, sand aquifer. And between all of the landowners, they have about 200,000 acre feet of water rights. Okay?
Just for the record, what is the city? What? What is the city park only?
264?
About 320?
6.
6?
600.
Yeah, the city 600. Yeah, it's that's the bare minimum. Anyway, so it's good clean water from the sand aquifer. Okay? And the thing is that from the point right there at the end of our well field, when the water starts to go down to this third floor, it's 76 degrees. Well, it gets hot, and then it goes out and goes bad. The 40 million gallons of water a day that y'all asked for is only 45,000 acre feet of water a year. So you have a huge, your guy said it was a 50% safety factor water, but in other words, you've got a lot of extra. I'm going crazy. Now, I'm sorry that, maybe we've got on the wrong foot or something at some point, but I've been working on this for a long time. I worked real hard to keep my RFP alive. And right before this thing was established and the first meeting was going to be had and announced, they said, oh, and I told them, you're going to cancel my deal and go into secondary, so I've been frustrated, but the offer is great. And what's my motivation? Well, this deal's so good. Why is this deal so good? Because I got a motivation. I'm an industrial farmer, and on all of our farms in the Crees area, we did a grid, a water pipe. So when I was little, they put it in. And it was a new technology, PVC pipe, new technology. Oh, it's so good. They had a belt and spigot, glue it together, but they didn't have any fittings yet. No elbows, no risers. And so we did it all in metal. And we clamped it. And they said, well, how long is the metal piece going to last? About 25 years. You could set your watch by that. 25 years. And who was at the age then that had to fix it? Me. You get in a hole in South Texas, in the ground, maybe the wind's blowing, but it's not blowing in that ground, but the sun's going in. So I heard of this pipe technology. This is my motivation. There's a pipe technology. It's high density plastic pipe, HDPE plastic pipe. It has a monolithic seal. It has a bell and spigot, but it has a wire that runs all the way around it, two wires sticking out. You put them together, it fuses together. Right? We offer to deliver the water on this end, potable water. And in the offer that we made,
How much to the taxpayer?
okay,
How many?
that's a good question. And they had set us in the when they did their study for the rate hike, it was $2.75 per 1,000 gallons what they calculated they needed to spend on secondary water. And the other 20, that was 75% of the rate hike, and the other 25% was for stuff the city needed, that they maintenance and stuff like that. Well, when we first came in to do the offer from point A to point B, the price was real low. We have no investors that are marketing our water. There's no lobbyists. There's nobody. It's just the landowners offering access with finance people backing up to doing the finance. I'll explain about that in just a second. So the price when we first came in was real low because we're just going point A to point B, and so they go, we have money left. Can you split split it out in a Y and do transmission lines? Can you make 2 5 million gallon standpipes for us and then deliver the water at the top? Because we gave them an option. We'll put turbines in it, and you can make electricity, 5 million gallons, $5 million a year, or we'll deliver the water at the top of the standpipe. We had Kellogg, Brown, and Root that said, ask the city that. Well, they chose because it cost $4,900,000 to pump the water at the top of the tower. They said, well, we'd just rather you deliver at the top of the tower so you can deliver it free. And after all of that was added on, our price came in at $227 delivered. But today, you have already done some transmission lines. You've already done some standpipes. So, like I told Horacio at the meeting, he had asked me in the last meeting to try to figure out how I could make it even cheaper. I said, well, if y'all have already done some of the transmission, depends on what you're going to ask me for now. If you don't ask me for the transmission. So, now the finance, and I'll be done.
Okay, well, wait, you haven't given us any particulars.
Okay.
What's the cost, how many gallons a day? What's take or pay, how many gallons a day?
Okay, the original offer was you take 10, you start with, to service the debt, you would take 10 MGD a day to start with.
10 million gallons a day.
Right, to start with. And it takes them about 3 years, 2.5, 3 years to get here with to do the project. Okay, the next year you would take 12. That's the way y'all asked for it. You're able to
I
do,
was
you
not
weren't
there
there,
when
but
you
that's
did.
the way we were asking for it. Okay. So you take 10 million gallons of water a day. You take another 2 million more than next year's 12, then 14. It takes 16 years to get to the 40. Now, when we deliver the pipe, it's going to be the full size. So if you had an emergency and we need to turn that thing on faster for emergency, boom, I start lava. So that was that part. Now the finances, since it's been verified by the leading experts in the whole world on this aquifer, which only 3 models, hydrology models exist on this aquifer, all 3 conclude from that specific location, you've got to be in the right location. And there's only a small strip where there's no arsenic. We're in that strip. All this I found out from, after all this, the experts did their work, and I was quite surprised. But the finance is like this. The landowners, they don't have a problem granting access to the land and the water. But we don't want any lawsuit problems. We don't want any, right-of-way. We find an albino horny toad, or, hey, we grant access to the land and the water. We'll lock our prices at 46 cents per 1,000 gallons for 20 years to help service the debt. You should have been at that meeting with the landowners to get them to do that. Okay?
Well, what was the difference from rates?
I don't know. I didn't compare Ray. I beat Ray. I beat him hands down. He's too far away. Compared to me, he was in Kinney County. He was in Kinney County.
Well, even that,
No, stop in Kinney County. Stop in Kinney County. When he made the offer when I was there, he was in Kinney County.
So you're in the Carrizo aquifer?
I'm in the Carrizo aquifer in a certain location. Okay, so what happens is we had a finance people that came in and they go, look, in these type of projects, we can do tax-free revenue bonds. If we can, that's what they want. If they can do tax-free revenue bonds, they'll come in and back this verified water source, okay? And they will, and the landowners don't have to pay any risk costs, and neither does the city. If something happens and a terrorist blows up the pipeline and the thing's down and you're not being delivered water till it's fixed, you're not out any money. You're only paying for the water you asked for as it's delivered. You're not asked to pay any deposit on the water, asked to buy any water rights. We're not using the water. The Bowmans are very generous. They donate buildings to the Baylor University. Mama Bowman donates libraries. They're not using the water. So that's it. I mean, any questions? I'll answer any questions off the top of my head. Been doing this for I don't know how long now.
So then,
And I'm losing my hair.
so then the taxpayers and the city would have 0 debt in the inception of this project?
Zero liability. They have to take the water that they ask for.
Right.
So they have to ask for 10 or not. But what's this?
Yes.
It's also a cash cow. How's it a cash cow? Okay. Well, say you ask for 10 MGD, right? And then it goes to 12 and on, right? It takes me 3 years to get here.
What was the price though?
227. And then after the debt, 227 for 20 years. Yes.
So
After 20 years.
22,700 a day.
After 20 years, the price, the debt is paid, the price drops to 150. Okay, but how's it a cash cow? So if you can service the debt at 10 million gallons of water a day, and let's say
8.3 million a year.
okay, but watch, there's other benefits I'm gonna tell you. One of them is if you're serving the debt with 10 million gallons of water a day, and then by the time I get here, for some reason you can take more, and I have a suggestion in the books I'm going to give you all on how you do that. Then you're servicing the debt with 10. Well, then the other water, what are you getting it for? You're getting it for the service cost, not service and debt costs, just service costs. So that's less money. Also, once the debt is serviced, so if you want to service the debt faster, you're taking more, you can spend it on that. If you have streets that are they got problems or some septic problems or whatever, you can use that money on that. That's up to y'all. That's not up to us. If you want to sell water to the fracking people along the way, we don't sell the water. When we give control of the water to you, you're in control of the water. We're not in that bit. Dimmitt Utility is a recharge utility. We're not going to run the water thing. It's going to be a separate. Dimmitt Utility has a contract with the landowners. The landowners have granted us the right to do intergovernmental agreements. There is another utility, a South Texas Heritage Water Utility. They make the agreement with the city. Then everybody makes an agreement. And then after the debt of service, we give you that utility option. You don't have to take it if you don't want it, but it's yours. We give it to you. I'm motivated to do a pipe plant. Okay, now what's the other grand benefit? As a farmer, we supplied water. The mayor came to us one time from Carrizo. They had a water problem. So my dad, they didn't have water. So sure, you can have water, but how are you going to get it to town? And he told the mayor, call the governor tomorrow. I'll call him in the morning, you call him in the evening. He called the governor, he said, the mayor's going to call you this afternoon, take his call. He says, what does he want? My dad served on the New Nations River Authority, so he knew the governor, right? And he did water studies. He did the only water studies of recharge in our aquifer and shared the studies with the state. So water's in our life. We're industrial farmers, so water's what we do. And so from that, I can tell you, when they helped them get a 16-inch water line so they could take the water to town. That's what they need the state for, to supply a 16-inch line. After that, we asked the city, anytime a city takes groundwater and puts it in their system, and it goes out in gray water into a river that is a permitted river. Now we have groundwater rights, but we also have river rights out of the Nueces. And pumping up 16 feet is a lot better than pumping up 300 feet. You know, my dad said if you find a great place to farm and the water's over 500 feet, find a better place to farm. And so it matters. So what we would do in the state of Texas, when you discharge your groundwater and gray water into a river, 30% of that water you discharge, it has to stay in the river. It's a benefit to the river and nobody can take that out. But 70% of it can be issued reclamation permits. Okay? So imagine if the city, and your experts also explain that, to the, and I was saying, well, how much is that? If 20 comes in, or how much, 70 cents, it equals about half. So in other words, if you're taking, at the first year, you're taking 10 MGD in, you're getting 5 MGD back out of the river in reclamation permits for free. Okay? And they paid, I think, $3,000 per acre foot on the last water I saw them buy. Okay, so out of 40 MGD, it's 20 MGD of reclamation permits. That's $67 million of water permits back out of the river for free. You could put that in your Pico plant, And you need the Pico plant, especially when you read this book I'm going to give y'all. I have some ideas on, to me, I see Laredo as a water hub, not as lacking in water, but that's just me. Okay.
When was that study done? The groundwater study?
The study was done by your people and our people working together. They had 3 independent models.
When was it done?
That was done in
2007. 2005, 6, something.
No, well, I started in 2006. So they did the report in February, at the meeting in February. The report they gave was, they probably did some work a little earlier, a few months earlier during that time. But the report that you'll see, there's videos where you can go to see your experts and what they say.
My experts.
Yeah, your experts, your taxpayer dollar experts that you paid for.
What was the name of that?
I call them your
the group that did the study.
R.W. Harding, the oldest hydrology firm in the state of Texas, and L.B.G. Guyton, who actually did the state model for scientific hydrology model for the state of Texas.
You're a farmer?
I'm an industrial farmer. Well, we were in
Yeah,
those
studies
days.
back in 2004 or 5 too, also.
The
Right.
reason I
And the
asked,
study showed that you could pump 40 million gallons a day for 50 years, way past 100 years. And this study was done with no recharge, meaning if it don't rain for all that time. Digo, es una maravilla. Digo, como mis amigos dicen, ¿traes onda? ¿Traes onda?
Have you-
Pues agarra la onda.
Did they ever do the blending study?
Yeah, I think they did. They did a blending. And when we offered to San Antonio, but I got
No, but
some-
for Laredo.
yeah, I'm sure they did. Yeah, they did a blending study to see what it was, but it's very clean water. Y'all can look it up. I'm sure Mia might have or he can find whatever the studies were turned in. Y'all paid about $500,000, not quite, but almost $500,000 just to review our offer with Grass Valley and us and the professionals. You had lawyers, you had economic people, economic.com, I can't remember the name, what was that guy's name? Anyway, hydrology, lawyers, just like I did. And so, but you did 6 other studies besides my round, 6 other offers were made before mine, and they were all rejected. They were all rejected. And then around 10 studies, including the one Tomas tried to do from the county had a project, and their problem was their lift was 950 feet. When they got it to the top, it was hot, you needed cooling towers. And the water wasn't potable, you had to osmosize it. This is kind of brackish, okay? But that wasn't the biggest problem. The biggest problem was it couldn't sustain the pumping.
The county?
Yeah, the county
Well,
water
the biggest problem wasn't the county.
Well, it was the school properties, and it was the school properties water.
Yeah.
Whatever the county was the trustee of the property right or whatever. So that's basically it. And I'm going to pass you out a book.
So
I was asked to give ideas on what could be done by your city manager, and so everything I've done, I put it in the book. And
how did the projections, since it was done, 12 years ago?
I just told you the study was done with no rain
I understand that.
after 50 years and way past
I
100 years.
understand that, but with any model, when there's projections done, how does that reflect what's currently happening right now? Is it in line with that?
With the what? With the what I had?
The projections that were done?
Has anything changed?
Well, there's no water been taken. You haven't sold any water.
Yeah, right.
Well, you haven't, but I'm sure there's other folks.
There's been water being used on the peripheral, but where we're at is a specific location of the aquifer. And when you see the report, this report covers 50 years, way past 100 years without rain, without any rain. Okay, so you can see it. Take it for what it's worth. I'm just telling you. I don't want to take up any more time. This gentleman has to.
The reason I ask you that is because, working with underground, I've been doing this for 4 years.
See,
I discovered that I could use salt water for irrigation and desalination by using a plumbing tee.
okay,
And the way you do it is you put a pipe underground, you run the water, and then either you extend it or whatever, when you put the water evaporates. The only thing that rises is H2O in gas form.
does it
That's
save you
salt.
from having to water over and over? Because I want to talk to you. I got a huge yard at my house, and I'd love to not have to water it so much.
Oh, man.
Not just because I don't have water. I do have
And then-
water. That's a lot of work. But I'd like to pass the floor to my colleague here.
Alex.
Okay, Alex, we can discuss this.
I'm on
private,
yeah.
I have one question though.
Yes, sir.
On the Eagle Ford, I know that there was a big demand on water. What impact did the Eagle Ford have on that?
Well, everyone says that those water wells use so much water, but when you're talking about the volume of water that we're talking about, it has an impact on certain areas. So when you're in Piso Uno and you're 80 foot deep, and you turn that water on for so long, you suck in air. You have to turn it off and the water come back. So everything's relevant. So somebody could say, well, I have a ranch right here and the water's this way and that way. He'd be right. Well, I have a ranch over here and there's no water. He would be right. So it depends on where you're standing over the aquifer. And the guy explains it in here. It's location. But so there is an impact
I understand where
in
you're
certain
coming from,
places.
but I asked a specific question.
Yes,
How
sir.
many gallons of water basically that the Eagle Ford pull out of that aquifer?
I'm not sure because they were up running real fast at one time and now they're down to a lot less. But I know when y'all take our pipeline and bring it this way and you're only taking 10 MGD of water, there's a lot of water left for y'all to service some of those cells. So, but from our area, I think anybody that's doing fracking should be taking the water from the area where it's not going to harm anybody. And that's where we're at. And so if y'all did do this project and y'all sold water for that, you'd be helping everybody else by not, that's what I said.
250,000 barrel frac, about 10.5 million gallons per well. So just figure out how many wells we're doing.
I already had that from.
1,000 wells?
Yeah.
Right, compared to where we're at and what we.
Well, I'm saying,
but if you're in another spot of the aquifer, it's not so good.
Well, I think where he was trying to go with it, okay, let's just say there's been 10.5 million times 1,000, whatever that is, $1 billion, $1 billion gallons.
Right.
What's been the drop in your aquifer?
Right, not that much, right.
So is that-
You're right.
have you had any drop in your aquifer?
There is a natural drop in the aquifer, but I also have studies on that through many years on when it's dropped and come back up. Like in the 70s, it came down, and then within a year or so, it came back up. So
I mean, that's
it's at
enough
about
for like-
400
it's at a
something
recharge
feet right
rate,
now.
Right.
Right,
Do
but
you all analyze it like the Edward aquifer?
we used to have a well dedicated just to read that constantly.
Mhm.
Okay, for the state.
And that was my point is, you know, if the projections match up with what you're talking about, the billions of gallons being pumped out currently. If this was done 12 years ago, maybe they didn't anticipate that. So does it accurately reflect?
Yeah, but
what's
before
going
the
on
Eagle
now? Yeah.
Yeah.
We would have hit a home run with the Eagle.
Oh yeah, you still can. They might gin back up. You know, well,
hear that.
if you're in a home run, maybe you can get on first base. You know, I don't know.
Thank you, Mr. Feige.
Yes, sir.
Well,
I'm sorry to take up so much time. But I have this book, and y'all can go over it, and then I'll come back, and you can drill questions to me all you want.
So 10 MGD is the
Do the
minimum
book
you can do.
The original offer, it might change because if I don't have to do those standpipes, deliver the water to the top, and do the other just distribution lines inside the city, that could make my price cheaper.
Yeah.
You know, and really, it's not up to me. We supply the water and the money. Y'all design it however you want. If you can figure out how to deliver 1 million gallons a day to start, or however y'all want to do it, we don't design it. We just provide the money. We don't provide the money. We have somebody that's providing the money for all of us.
I like that project.
Let me clarify that. You know,
Somebody's willing to back it at a non-recourse note, right?
Right.
All right, I like
Give me my
to
phone.
the floor to the competitor over there.
Can you talk? I've only been doing it 4 years, and I've lost all my hair. So
I did have one question about the reclamation. That was a very interesting point. So you said the city gets credit for 70% of the discharge?
From what I know from our personal experience, when we would buy the water back from Carrizo Springs, because we have permitted water out of the Nueces, and when they discharge their gray water, it goes into the Nueces. And so we would lease the water. We give them the water for free. We sold them $110,000 to do 2 wells out on our farm. They take their water back to town, and they were going to pay 20 cents per thousand. But then they came back out to Dad and said, "Come on, Albert, let's have the water for free." But then we would buy the water back from them. I think we should have. We didn't foresee that. Dad probably would have said, "Okay, I give you water for free, but I get it free back out of the."
But again, is it 70%? You get
70%, which equals about 50%, according to the
You
expert
know-
that Laredo hired. It equals about 50% of whatever comes into the town. So 30% of the discharge, because you lose some of the water when it comes into town. And so when you discharge, there's some of it gone already. 30% of whatever the discharge is has to stay in the river. And the 70% equals about 50%, because I asked R.W. Harding guy, Rich Kaiser, well, how much is that exactly? He says about 50%. I said, okay. I said, well, that's good. And I knew about what he was saying, because we'd do that with Carrizo and use the gray water. You know, so
that would in essence be your future water rights. You wouldn't have to purchase any more water rights because you were already.
as long as you're as long as you're discharging it. Okay, now here's another great thing. All of your water rights out of the river are based on seniority, right? So if there's ever a cutback, and I know this because we have senior water rights.
No, you're based on municipality. So
Yes.
municipalities have first.
We're the first one.
Okay, you're the first one. Okay, so if anybody cuts out, well, but if you were to rent this out to somebody, or to a farmer if you didn't need it or something, it doesn't have a date on it. You're putting the water in there. It has no seniority. There's no seniority thing because it's actual physical water that you put in there. But if you don't put it in there, you don't get it. In other words, todo depende de lo que andan haciendo. Everything depends on what you're doing. Ya que lo pasa, okay, you take over.
Give at least 5 minutes.
He already forgot what he was supposed to do.
He wants to join you.
Yeah, I might need his help. I was going to ask him that after the meeting.
Yeah, to answer your question about the Eagle Ford, and we have that large well in Karnes County that it's lower Carrizo, drilled almost a mile deep, 4,300 feet at the bottom. We produce 4,000 gallons a minute for fracking and drilling. And looking at doing a municipal deal with a local municipality because they need some clean water. They have very high arsenics over in that area of the world. We have monitoring wells in the Evergreen Underground Water District over there that do monitor the lower Carrizo. So, again, we design our well, at least that well and other wells we're looking at doing for other municipalities, that we minimize the drawdown. We pumped that thing 14 million barrels in 2013 or 14 when it was blowing and had zero drawdown. Our curve stayed the same, and we were always at, I think our pumping level was 80 feet always, never changed. It was great. So that's the way we design our water wells. We have R.W. Harding that did a study close to Laredo, same folks.
Right.
Didn't quite get the volume that you're talking about, more like 10 million gallons per day. But it's sustainable for 30 or 40 years. That's what they estimated.
Right.
So, that's, Mr. Me and I met a couple of times discussing that, and we're looking at, acquiring some property. We would like to, and our deal is to avoid the pipeline to you and possibly do a TCQ bed and banks type program where we put it in the river and you can take it out of the river because you now get 100% of your water from the river. Again, the water quality makes it fairly easy to do that, and it saves a lot on cost. I don't have specific numbers. Next time I will have specific numbers on true cost on what it would cost to do that.
It's much prohibited to put groundwater in the river, don't you?
Yeah, but if it comes out of the well and not a pipe.
I don't wanna make this a debate between you two
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
I'd rather you just make it.
Okay, and so,
Sorry.
anyway, that's what and again, at the next meeting, I'll have a much better presentation of what we're looking at doing, but that's what, again, we look at developing these for other municipalities as well, and that's what we're here to talk about.
What's the closest, have y'all looked at any wells closer to us, to Laredo and the Carrizo?
We have looked at them in Webb County. That's where our R.W. Harding, I can tell you that it was done in Webb County, not in, was Kenny or Dimmitt or any other
Maverick.
county. Yeah, Maverick.
And how did Webb County look? How did the
Yeah.
potential?
Potential.
There's potential.
Yep, for sure. I wouldn't be. Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you're taking fresh, clean, potable water and throwing it into the contaminated river, how do we clean it up again?
It just has to run through your El Pico water plant. And that's, that's. Because that's your, that's your distribution
but
center.
it doesn't take out any of the chemicals. It doesn't take out the arsenic. It doesn't take out the leads. It doesn't
Oh,
take
it's
out
coming out
the
of the
poisons of drugs and
That's
pesticides and I can go on and on. Doesn't take it out.
Is that your presentation?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
How much?
Again, I don't have specific numbers
Oh,
like
okay.
that. We were just looking at
Or you're just speculating?
wanting to do it.
You're more
they
the
were-
development side of developing wells and looking at locations.
Exactly.
That's what they're looking
Oh,
But at the cost to the city and the county?
Yeah, I don't have a per 1,000 gallon rate.
Okay.
It's got to be competitive with $2.75, or we can't do it.
Which one is it?
Yeah, well, 227 on the old deal. I might not have to do standpipes now. That would save me a lot.
Let me give you if I may, a little more history, because, we explored several options. Bed and Banks was one of them. Briscoe had a group that was doing a well field, trying to, establish a well field in northwest Webb County. They have the Carrizo, we bought, the city of Laredo bought, still owns, right? The 1,500 acres over there
Right.
behind Unitech, because Unitech actually has good water.
at. Yeah.
There's some good water wells. I think one of them does 300 gallons a minute.
There's one irrigation well.
So I think there's 3 wells on the property, if I remember right.
Yeah.
But one of them did like 300 gallons a minute. We did a hydrology study on that, see what the drawdown was, and it just wasn't sustainable. I mean, when we extended it was, a well field going all the way out into northwest Webb County, connecting all these wells and seeing if we could do it, to make it. It just wasn't. You have to have the volume of water that's over there in the Carrizo Walnut area.
Near big ones.
Yeah. So
Howard, quick question. Does the recharge of the Carrizo sands, does that have anything to do with that?
No. You had a Dr. Green that came. I think the city paid $50,000 for Dr. Green to come and he did a presentation, and he's in this book, and you can click on, it has a blue line, you go to the place, and you'll see what Dr. Green said. And they asked him point blank, I think it was Councilman, the one that owns a bowling thing? Bailey. He asked him, so the Carrizo aquifer, the gentleman that just spoke earlier, which was me, that aquifer there, because no, that's totally independent, that does not bleed, because he was talking about, the report they wanted to know was what water bleeds into our river. And so they went all the way to Pecos, and we farmed in Van Horn, we farmed in Bracketville, we know the underground water and the surface water from here to Brownsville. And so, and I was listening to him, and everything he was saying was right on the money. So some of the rivers go underground and they pop back up, and eventually they get water into the river. And in Valverde County, same thing. In Del Rio, you have the Rio San Felipe, and that goes into the Rio Grande, and the Devil's River has some springs of, almost the Alba springs of water, and that comes into the Amistad. And then even over here in Bracketville, we used to farm north of Bracketville, and we own a property getting all the way close to the Rio Grande, where springs would come up with water, and it would go into the river. Less in small trickles of whatever, but that's what he talked about. So you have to get over the rain berm on the other side of Kinney County. See, and water to us comes, we gotta watch to be able to pull our pumps out of the river, because when the river comes up, you'll have to spend a lot of money to rewind your motors if they get wet. And so if it rains up in Real County, or Edwards County, and all in those parts, even in Maverick County, if it rains in many different areas, we've got to worry about how much it rained, because it might be dusty here and not a drop on the ground, and we're down there pulling out the river pumps. What are you doing? Well, the water's coming. We're pulling. What water? Oh, it's coming. So that's what. So no, it does not mean it.
I think just for clarity, we started a little hot before the meeting started and kind of continued forward. And I've always been a progressive type person. I know that we can go back and beat up some things that have happened in our community, county, city, whatever, but we're not gonna fix that. But we need to make sure that whatever step we take forward is that we take the right step for the constituents and the citizens of this community. I mean, I love this place. I would hate to move because there's no water to drink. And when they built the Columbia Bridge and called it a hazmat bridge, I went, what in the heck, maybe, I don't know why, but again.
Well, they did it to force the traffic.
Yeah, well, I know, but if you want to send a hazmat, you send it to where it's not going to hurt you if something happens. I don't like to walk on hand grenades and hope the pin doesn't fall out. But the bottom line is, we're really championed here with a heck of a project for our community. And I've gotten old here in Laredo, and I've seen a lot of progress go on. You don't drive South Laredo for 3 months and go out there and just don't realize the houses that popped up. Don't drive to North Laredo, the same thing. When they built the loop, no one ever thought that the housing market would jump the loop so fast. And we're in a position here, barring politics from the federal government all the way down, that if it doesn't affect us, we're someday we'll be a million plus, and I may be around to see it. But again, we don't. What does everybody say? We need manufacturing. What does manufacturing need? Water, and we don't have it. So if we have that secondary water source, then we might be able to push it towards manufacturing. And there's a lot of lands around here that can't develop because of the water quality. So we have to have a vision of not just water, but what will it do? Water is life, period. And I know that anywhere that I'm in real estate, and as you all know, and anywhere I try to sell a place, first thing they ask me is, does it have water? Yeah, but you smell it and everything else. So that's what we have. Long-term sustainable water. Can you do that?
Yeah, there's a statement that jumped out at me in the report, and it says water diversity is key.
Yeah. So when you were saying that, I was going, yeah, man.
We have.
Not necessarily just one thing that's gonna fix the
Right, that's
the
right.
whole problem.
And so I would also move that we strike the secondary part, and let's just call it the water ad hoc committee.
I
Because
agree.
I think I like, things that Alex is saying, you know, I also had a dream that we'd be pumping, because we have surplus water rights that we let go every year. Why can't we keep the, you know, Lake Casablanca filled? Well, we talked about, you know, back then, we talked about another reservoir, you know, upriver.
Yeah.
So those, I think we can explore all those ideas, so.
There's a motion on the floor that we rename our committee, remove the word secondary.
Just water ad hoc, I mean.
And we have a second. Any questions?
And-
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Right.
And
All those
Mr. Chairman,
opposed?
just remember, we also have 20 million gallon of effluent,
Yeah.
which we can also use as additional water.
Yeah. And I know, I remember at the golf course, they were using, are they still using that?
Yes,
Right.
we do. We provide both Casablanca and Country Club.
Yeah.
But in South Laredo, which is our biggest plant, we are upgrading to 18 million gallon. So altogether, we have 20 million gallon effluent, which
I
would
know
be
where to go with it, but.
Yeah. Well, see, again, so.
Well, I mean, that's going, they have the technology already from tea to coffee, you know?
Mhm.
So, anything else that we need to bring up?
Again, I think we should ask the city to provide us with anything that they don't, if the Water Development Board is doing it, IBWC is doing, the weir, you know,
You know, that, to me, that was the thing that we should have gone after a long time ago. Not for the water, for the fishing.
well, I mean, it also protects you from, you know, crossings in town, you know,
Yeah.
it pushes them away.
Yeah.
Zacate Creek, you know, flooding
Right.
Zacate
Yeah.
Creek, with those weirs on
But
there, I mean,
there's-
we have so many projects,
What's that
all it takes is
gentleman's
money.
name that was always damn the river?
Oh,
God, I can't remember his name. He even had stickers that damn
He
the
was,
river grant. He did his whole life, that's what he advocated.
Oh my God, I'm saying, I can't think of his name. But the bottom line is, yeah, you're right, I mean, I remember one time being on a committee trying to do something with the creek that goes through the middle of town.
Zacate Creek?
Zacate Creek and
Put a
put
weir on
the
there.
river walk and all that, but, you know, it's only good when it rains and the water runs through it.
Well, I'm
but-
saying, you have to put a weir.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So there's a lot of things that can happen from this group. Be positive about it. Take care of Mother Earth. It's the only one we got. And she will get rid of us if she doesn't like what we're doing to the world. I guarantee you. She did that to everybody else. So the bottom line is I appreciate everybody being here and I know sometimes it's difficult to meet. And I admire your ideas. Take it to your councilman, have them do something with the city, get a project going on that. And here we're championed with a big project, all right?
Mr. Chairman, I do have two
So-
questions. One is, if the committee decide to have the next meeting already, so we can get the dates, so
Yeah.
everybody's in the, you wanna do it on the Thursday or Tuesday or?
Yeah, keep it a regular day, no?
Yeah, to be bouncing around, it's a lot easier to, I don't have a problem with either day. Tuesday or Thursday. Thursday,
Or Wednesday, whatever.
yeah.
So July 18th?
Let's do the Tuesday.
Well, but is it second Tuesday, third Tuesday, what are you gonna do? Just keep it the same.
Yeah. This is what, the third?
Because
Thursday.
Tuesday sometime.
I know, I've got stuff.
Okay, we'll keep it on 17. We might have council meetings because
Yeah.
Monday is closed.
Yeah, I would say Wednesday. better.
Wednesday is always free.
Yeah,
How
Wednesday.
many days?
Question,
So
Yes.
18th?
just regarding what council's vision is for this group. We're gonna swing back around with them and, you know, just to kind of
I-
have them reiterate what their
Third
goals
Tuesday,
are.
third Wednesday in the month?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
next meeting will
that's
be
fine.
July 18th, if everybody's okay with that.
Okay. See if you can put something on the city council agenda to them to provide direction on what they really want from us.
Well, at least get, so honest, you go up there and see, I guess.
Yes.
And information.
Why don't you put an optional day just in case, you know?
Yeah, I know, right? It's like we're starting over in the same building.
But we don't wanna keep spending money over
Yeah.
the same. You know, we just need to pull it out and study it. Let's research it now, you know? You know, John has had some great points and, you know, I apologize for being, but. you
That's
know,
your nature, man.
But we can put that aside and, you know, let's focus on the city.
You're willing to do that one?
I also
Yeah.
apologize if I offended anybody
You know?
about
And,
anything,
uh,
but I've just been frustrated about being kicked around and I didn't like it.
Exactly, I feel the same way, that sometimes we get frustrated by the actions that we see, right? Now, we can't control that. We can only control what we're gonna do here, right, and how we're gonna move.
I think we're all pretty passionate about it. so-
Right? So, let's put our love into it and let's search for the best outcome for our citizens for, the next couple of 100 years.
All our neighbors, all our neighbors.
We have the opportunity to
The water's
leave a
flowing by,
legacy.
it's going to be squandered right now.
You know,
The water's flowing by and going
leave a
away.
legacy.
You know what the biggest resource
Mr.
they
Chairman,
have is also
Yeah,
is seawater.
and, but on the agenda, what do you want? You
But
want me to
see,
present you, give you an update?
the
Let me
system
give
is
you an
not
update,
there for-
see, you can see where we are, the money coming in,
Anything,
the
okay.
debt service, and what we can afford.
There's a lot of factors.
Well,
we need some kind
it's
of-
really not what you can afford, it's really what's better for the population, and,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we're not gonna be the ones that will have to vote on the rate, but, when we did the rate study back and we implemented the rates, and it took a lot of guts back then to raise the water rates the way we did, but that was to pay for the secondary source of water, and we had it all funded. And then they took around and spent all the money.
They flipped it around.
They bought all this equipment out here at one time. They did all kinds of stuff, and then they funded people water.
And I can see those that have been here before, the fears, right? That will go do something out there, a bunch of money,
Well, we
give
don't
it
have
to us
control
or
of it.
whatever,
That's it.
and then it disappears, right? And it disappears in equipment and buying land or buildings, et cetera. And, it's just, sometimes we're counterproductive in what we're trying to achieve.
But again, I think we can do a study and say, look, it may mothball Jefferson or Pico. I mean, I would think you would mothball Jefferson before you mothball Pico, But hey, if it's a great source of water, you don't have blending issues.
Can we sell water to Mexico?
No.
No,
But you could do bed and banks for the valley.
On Brownsville.
You can sell it to the farmers. I don't know.
It's in your book, it's in
I
your
don't
book.
know if you can make a
And the
profit.
customers are already in there. Well, you
When
could,
you walk
well,
across the board
you're not supposed to make
and
money,
say-
you're not profit.
We should wait for that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that the reclamation is very, very interesting.
Well, because we get to
It's a
regenerate
gift.
all that water in an efficient way, environmentally conscious, which would, I think could make a lot of people really, really happy, to take that at a free cost.
And if you're not using
Well,
it,
you're not
you can use
regenerating.
others.
What you're getting is you're.
Recycle.
No, you're not
You're
recycling.
100%
You're just saying,
used.
if you put 5 million gallons of water in the river, now you can take
Two and a half.
2,500,000
Yeah.
out, free.
Right.
You still have to process it again.
Right.
Yeah, you have to do it in a plant, pico plant or whatever.
But, or it's a water right that you could
Lease to
sell,
McAllen or somebody,
lease
or
it,
a farmer.
whatever.
Right.
So there's a way to basically pay for what we're doing.
Yes.
I don't know, but we have to look at
At
it.
least
Read
we're
my
not
book, read my
gonna,
book.
Look at those options to, cover our debt and what we have right now.
Yeah. No,
You know?
Yeah, would it be possible to get any other reports or studies that were done?
There's gotta be all the stuff that we did back in 2004 or 5.
Yeah.
Negotiating team reports,
I will look at it, whatever.
Jeff Snowden is your economist,
There's a couple of people. that-
R.W. Harding was your hydrologist, Bill Norris was your engineer.
No, but we're talking about pre.
Oh, even before that?
Right.
Talk to Gene Bonmatis, he's seen all the studies all the way back from 1998. And he might know, or give you
No,
an
they're
idea.
there, we should have, they all should be in the record. We got it.
Okay.
Let's look at
Gene
it.
Van Mans has a ton and a wealth of information on, a lot of things. And it's just about the information again, right? And then we process that in a knowledgeable way. Right?
Now you've got, I guess, links here to videos. Do you have the actual studies with numbers?
That's what they're just talking about now, they're gonna look them up, those are your experts. I use your experts to promote my deal. So, you're taxpayer paid experts. So you have all the studies, I don't have them. Well, now you're on a committee for the city, so yours.
Well,
you know.
Those are your people, so
typically when I
you can get them
reference
from the city,
something-
is what I'm saying.
If I ever reference something in the report that I prepare.
I think we've hit the point where we're ready for the next motion, right?
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second to adjourn, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you guys, we appreciate it.
Motion to rain.